Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Internet Nobodies podcast. We're just here doing what we can because we can. I'm Freddie, and who we got with us today?
Hey, I'm Pete, and I'm sad.
I'm internet celebrity Rob Lowe, and all I want is some Monica in my life.
Hi, I'm Dale, and a body has been discovered.
And I'm Sibs, and even though I hate things that make me sad, I'll keep watching them anyway.
And I'm Freddie, and I'm sadder than Edward Elric, who can't save just a little girl. Let's start the podcast.
Sad boop noises.
Sad. All right, everyone. So today we're talking about. Okay. Today we're gonna be talking about our saddest memories with movies, TV shows, just in general media. Because I don't really read that much, so.
Yeah, readings for chumps.
Exactly.
Why would you read something sad? That's just dumb.
Right? Wait for the movie.
Exactly.
Losers.
Or the anime adaptation, depending on what we're going with.
I mean, wait for the movie, regardless. You can do both.
At
I
the
was
same
sad
time.
during a silent voice.
Oh God, yes. Okay, that threw me off.
Yeah, that's right.
That is sad though.
That is sad.
That is sad. Make sure to
That's
put
actually, that's not sad. That's fucking crime.
Make sure to put that in the video.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that. So, I think Pete brought up one already, a silent voice. Who else here has seen that besides us?
Me.
Never heard of it.
Okay,
It's so sad.
it is.
Sell me on
Sad
this.
song.
Why should I be sad for this?
A kid is a bully, winds up becoming ostracized because he was bullying a girl who's deaf.
No, keywords is
Well-
he was ostracized because he was caught bullying.
Yeah, he
while
Yeah, that's true,
lit-
yeah.
Caught bullying.
Literally everyone else was also
Bullying
bullying
her.
her in class,
Yeah.
and he was the only one who was called out on it, so everybody stopped talking
So
to him.
he
They're like,
fucked
oh
up.
man.
They
Yeah.
all passed the buck and let him take the fall for all of them being
Yeah, the
awful.
whole
I mean,
class.
to be fair, he was the worst of
Oh,
them,
yeah.
but they all did it.
Yes.
But because he was the worst, he was the one who was guilty of everything.
Speaking of throwing things under the bus and being the worst, I'm gonna throw Pete under the bus at some point. For
Oh
one.
man, I'm gonna breathe a sigh of relief.
Oh
I thought it
man.
was gonna be me.
It's something. I mean, I don't know if you know about it, but it's something that I haven't seen, but Pete has, and we have talked about this slightly in the past.
Oh no.
Yes.
Well, I guess we'll get to that
We'll
later.
get to that,
You know
yeah.
You're gonna think about it, and you're gonna say, "Rob, no," and I'm gonna be like, "Pete, yes."
Rob thinks I'm gonna think about it.
But anyway, so back to sad bullying thing.
Yes.
Oh yes, continue, Fred.
I'm horrible at explaining things, so Pete, if you want to keep continuing, because
I
I didn't sell it that well.
So because he was the only one who was blamed for it, he became ostracized, and the person who he bullied, did she like leave the school?
Yeah, she
So,
left
so,
school.
so
Yeah.
she left to go to a school for the deaf, I believe,
Because she
and
was hearing impaired.
because
yeah.
he destroyed her hearing aids.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And she left the school. He became the bullied student in her place, and
he
felt so. It got to the
Guilt-
point that he felt so bad about how he treated her that he was gonna kill himself. And then I think he bumped into her again, and instead
No,
of
he
doing
went to-
that,
He went to find her.
oh yeah, he
No,
went
yeah,
to
he-
find her to.
Before he went to kill
Yeah.
himself, he wanted to apologize to her. So he went to go find her, found her at the school for hearing impaired, I should say, because she's not quite deaf, but she is very
almost completely deaf.
She's almost
yeah.
almost
completely,
completely deaf. Yeah, and so yeah, he goes to apologize, leaves a bunch of money for his mother, and then goes to a bridge to kill himself, and then
And his mother sets the money on fire.
Wow.
What?
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's because she knew what he was doing it for.
Yeah.
Like, so she said that if you think I'm gonna accept this fucking,
But she still set it on fire, and it was money, and they didn't have a lot of
Yeah.
money.
It was an
So it was
accident,
still
though.
very horrifying.
Where did he
Yeah.
get all the money?
He
Well,
worked
he was
for
wor-
it, and he
he
sold all of
worked-
his belongings.
It was
Yeah, he
to
literally
try
sold
to
everything he
reimburse the
owned.
girl's family for her destroyed hearing aids.
Well, what it was is his mother ended up paying for the hearing aids, so he wanted to pay his mother back.
Right.
So he paid his mother back, and then some, and then he tried to kill himself. He didn't do it. So then his mom figured it out, and then yelled at him, holding the money over a flame, saying that she'll if you think I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna burn this money because I don't want this fucking money. And but then while she's like, when he finally agrees not to kill himself, they look back and the money's on fire already. So
But so he basically spends the entire movie trying to make amends to this girl. Finds out that she is still almost as unhappy as she was back when he was bullying her for other reasons. But it's the two of them falling for each other while also trying to dig each other out of the depression hole. Basically.
the depression
Okay.
hole is that everyone around them is still
Awful.
Also, like, well, I would say only one person is truly awfulest, but everyone else just doesn't know how to handle things still. Like,
Yeah.
And doesn't
Like the
try
situa-
very hard to do so either.
yeah, they're all still a bunch of stupid fucking kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, kids are the worst.
Pretty
They're
much.
also exceedingly cruel.
Yeah, it was still a good movie though, because it was like, I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but like the ending has something similar to the beginning happening instead of him doing it with another character doing it, and then it just like, I will say I didn't like the ending though, because it felt really sudden, but I know there's more to it because isn't it
It's
like
a manga.
yeah, it's ongoing or whatever.
Is it ongoing?
From
I
the-
thought it finished.
No, from the
okay,
movie,
yeah,
it's
from where it
ongoing.
ended in the movie, there's more after it. I believe so. Yeah.
Yes, which makes sense to me why it felt very sudden and like things aren't completely wrapped up. I really, really hate how they're just like, oh, this person who is literally the worst the entire movie is now trying to talk to the deaf girl. It's like, fuck you. You didn't do
yeah.
shit.
No.
Get the fuck outta
We're
here.
adults now. No, I'm not giving you another chance.
No.
No, get the
You
fuck
had
outta here.
chances. You ruined it. Sorry. Bye-bye.
I was like, I hated that. The ending, like, if they continued it, it'd probably be like continue to be fantastic. But the movie itself was still good and sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, that
Yeah,
was
and I liked it better than Your Name. So.
I also liked it better than Your Name.
I'm about even on the two of them. So
That's understandable.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked them, really enjoyed them both.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people really liked Your Name more too because of the soundtrack.
I mean, the soundtrack is great,
Yes.
but I'm,
But-
you know,
But
I
A
couldn't
Silent
really-
Voice is also
Very
it
good
could be
with the
it's superb, the entire movie, but it could be hard for some people to watch if it's in any way triggering to them for
That is true. Yes. Yeah.
because of the topics that it touches on.
Mm-hmm.
Your Name is a little bit more accessible because it's not quite so touchy in terms of certain subject matter.
Yeah. That's probably why it's getting a Hollywood remake.
Of course.
of course. Well, yeah, because if it's not made in the U.S., it's not worth it.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Of course.
yeah, I mean,
I forget. It's like
Like-
some country girl and a guy from Chicago switch places
Probably.
now. I think that's what it was.
and I won't watch it because it'll be awful.
Oh, I'll
I'm
watch
sure
it.
it will. I mean, yeah, you gotta watch it so you can justify when you shit on it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Anyway, that's enough of that.
I got a game
You got a
that
game.
is,
Game.
steeped in misery. It's called Lisa the Painful.
Lisa the Painful sounds familiar. What
I've
is
never-
It
Never
is
heard of
a side-scrolling post-apocalyptic RPG where you play as a man named Brandon, who one day... So basically the world ended for, I think, nuclear reasons. And in typical, creepy post-apocalypse shit, there's no women around anymore. Because, yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I remember this now. Yes,
so-
we talked about this.
Yeah, so it's this game where you play as this dude named Brandon, who one day him and his pals find a infant girl and decide to raise her in secret and, keep her around so that maybe humanity has hope one day in the future or something. Also the fact that it's a child and there are no children anymore.
Yeah.
So at some point when she's like 6 or 7 years old, she gets kidnapped by this gang of like evil, like post-apocalyptic ne'er-do-wells, and it's all about Brandon going on this quest to rescue this girl who he named Buddy. And along the way, you have to make some really difficult decisions, like whether or not to take drugs, because there's a pill called Joy, and Brandon is a recovering addict. And every now and again, the game will be like, hey, do you want to pop a pill? Because, I mean, hey, it'll boost your stats, you'll fight better, and, like, everything will be better. But you're also encountering people that have given into their addiction, and they are horribly mutated flesh monsters, like shit out of Akira.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Damn.
I think I've never seen Akira, but I've heard it's gross. But then there's also, like, each act of the game ends with a very difficult choice. So, like, you'll pick up companions along the way. And the first time you catch up with the bandits, they're, like, they outnumber you, they out-weapon you, they have guns. They're like, all right, you want this little girl back so bad? Make a tough decision. Either cut off one of your arms or kill one of your party members.
Okay.
And you have to make that choice.
You don't have the choice of just fucking them up because they outnumber you.
Yeah, because they're like they fill the screen and like have like the high ground and shit. So yeah, you have an option of either murdering one of your party members in cold blood or cutting off one of your fucking arms. And then like it gets even more fucked up later on. It's like the second time you encounter them, it's like, okay, cut off your other arm or we're gonna cut off one of her nipples. And like he's just holding this like 6-year-old girl by the scruff and has a knife out and is like, all right, that's your decision.
That's fun.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's a. Have you never played Lisa, Rob? I could have sworn.
No, I really haven't.
Oh, it's interesting.
It sounds it.
Matt and Pat-
There's a couple. Aren't there like 2 or 3 Lisa games too?
There's Lisa the First, which is about Brandon as a kid living with his horribly abusive father and his sister. And then there's Lisa the Painful, which is the main game, and then there's the DLC, which is Lisa the Joyful, where you play as Buddy.
The elf.
No, the little girl.
The only female left on the planet.
Yep.
What's your favorite color?
What?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. But anyway, that's Lisa the Painful. It's a super fucked up game, but really good.
Don't you think it's weird how some really, really depressing games are just really, really good?
Oh yeah,
Like-
I mean,
Yeah.
Like that game that you and me are playing, Omori.
Oh, I
Yeah.
bought that. I need to play that.
You bought Omori?
I bought
I'm
both
proud
of them,
you.
yeah. Because they were on sale.
It's I'm not done with it, but because I stopped playing games for a bit because I burned myself out recently.
Yeah, I can understand that.
oh, I thought it was because of your
And-
eye.
Well, that too. That's a contributing factor why I haven't played anything recently, but I haven't played anything in over a month. So, but when I started, it's like, so for everybody else, not to give any spoilers, it's just a game that takes place in a dreamlike world. It starts out in where everything is like super fluffy and like everything's fantastical. Like there's mystical creatures. The enemies you're fighting are just bunny rabbits. But then it's like a really dark underlying something. You don't know what's really going on because one of your friends disappears, and like the entire time, like you can like this game to me really makes me feel their emotions of like depression.
Okay.
Like very, very much so. Like starting really early. Like it's subtle and it's not powerful, but you get to a point, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything. You get to a point in the game where you realize what's actually going on, and it hits so hard at that point. Like, because I started playing this game because I heard it was like a psychological horror. This like, I'm not scared of this game anymore. I'm more upset by this game, like, because I want these kids to be happy. And like the depression I feel is like overwrites the horror for it. So I don't like, I'm not like, I think I told you, Freddie, already that I'm not scared anymore. I'm
You hear
more
that?
on
I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah, I'm just depressed now.
Wow.
But yes, like that's what this game did. It's like it, like when you figure out what's really going on, like it hit me so hard that I was just like, oh my god, I need to make these kids happy. I need to do something.
I love the one little detail of every time you win a fight, everyone is celebrating except for Omori.
Yeah, well, Omori has always been that blank slate of a human being. Apparently, you figure that you learn that that's how he's been his entire life, but it's not a bad thing. But
No, yeah.
You'll get there. You'll get there. I really don't like. It's still a fairly new game. I really want to talk about it one day. But at the same time, I don't want to spoil anything.
I did, because there's like collectibles you find early on, or like a list of collectibles early on they have to find, and so I was looking up locations. I did see, there was like a quote unquote guide on Steam Workshop. It wasn't a real guide. It was basically how to cure depression. Uninstall Omori. Go outside.
Yeah. The whole thing is like
close Omori, uninstall Omori, go literally anywhere but your computer.
The whole thing with Omori is that I kind of wish I didn't look it up because I want to try to do this as unbiased. This is a game that has multiple endings apparently.
Oh, okay.
And I'm playing it right now the way I want to play it. Like, I'm trying to be unbiased as possible. Like, what am I gonna do in this situation right now? Like, and that's what I've been doing. And that's what I've been doing the whole time. And then I found out that there were multiple endings, and I'm just like, all right, when the time comes and I want to rerun this, I'm going to, then I'll look up stuff and see how you do things. But for now, I just want to run the game the way I do, see what kind of ending I get, and be like, that's my true ending.
Okay.
Which is probably going to make me sad or happy. I don't know. I'm going to try my best, guys. I'm going to try my best.
Now you're doomed.
There's probably no such thing as a happy ending.
Just give in. It's all terrible. There's no happiness. Just give up.
Yeah. There's no happiness. There is no love here.
Go into it as a
Rob.
pessimist and you'll never be disappointed.
Exactly. So, Robert Sibs, what you got?
I've got the last episode of Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh, hey Pete, you want to talk about that one?
Hey, it's over 20 years old. He's taken long enough to watch it.
No,
Spoilers ahoy.
You can talk about it because, I mean, even though I haven't seen it, I know how it ends. It's not like it's a secret.
I can't believe they shoot the dog into the moon.
That's how you get Dogecoin, though. You gotta go to the moon.
That's literally Dogecoin mining. They shot him into the crater. Poor Ein.
Okay, so Bebop was one of the earlier shows on Adult Swim when it first started airing anime. And it was, because of how short it is, it's one of the first shows that they actually aired the ending of. And the first time I watched it, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And I'm sitting there watching it in bed, because what else do you do at 2 a.m. on a Saturday?
It's true.
And
Hood rat stuff.
yeah, but I was like 13,
watching Bebop.
so
That's the prime age for hood rat stuff.
That's how you learn to become a hood rat.
Yeah.
because I was such a hood rat. Do you know me at all? But well, you didn't when I was 13, but you know.
Yeah, no.
Most people in the hood wear sandals 24/7, so yeah.
All right,
Most dangerous
I'll
weapon
agree
of
to that
all.
one. So the ending And I'm sorry, Pete, that I'm going to spoil it for you, but it's been 20 plus years.
Oh
It's
no!
time.
I like.
I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of spoilers in this podcast
Yeah.
as a whole.
Also, I like that
So-
Pete is always the focus of this. I have also not seen Bebop.
You haven't?
You haven't seen Bebop?
They're
You
gonna forget this just as
haven't
equally as
seen-
fast as the last time
I
we
know.
said this.
It's like the fifth
I
time
don't
it's
think
been
I
brought up
was
on this
there.
podcast.
Yeah, I think the
No.
thing is, Dale is much less of a weeb than Pete is.
That's fair.
Okay, so obviously the whole thing is they're bounty hunters, and you get to the end, and it's the final encounter between Spike and basically his main rival in the show, Vicious. And in the last 2 episodes, because it's a 2-part finale, Spike's, let's call her girlfriend with a question mark, because they never really get back together, gets killed in front of him while they're trying to get away. And his mother figure's dead or shot or something. I can't quite remember if she dies, but there's a whole lot of carnage going on. And and so they have their final showdown. Spike kills Vicious, but Spike also gets quite messed up, and he's walking down the stairs after their fight, points his finger up at the sky like it's a gun, acts like he's firing a gun, and then just collapsed to the stairs. And then they start playing this song that really kind of like just kind of puts the icing on the cake for making it extra emotional. And because you never actually find out if he's alive or dead, it's like that's just kind of where it leaves it. And that song plays throughout the entire closing credits. So it's like a 5-minute song, and it's just the song with him lying in whatever state he is on those stairs. Every time, and literally every time I have watched that episode, knowing what happens, cannot stop myself from crying every time I've seen it since 2001. And I watch it multiple times a year. Don't know what it is. I think it's just the combination of the music and the end of that show.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, without fail.
It's just a masterpiece, bro.
Yeah. But see, I think part of that is the whole thing of, which is why we keep trying to get Pete to watch this, is the fact that the characters are likable,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Like, you watch this and Spike is cool. Like, from the beginning,
Yeah.
Spike is cool. He's likable. You're like, yo, this guy's a badass.
Yup.
And
And he's
you know,
and he's a goofy badass.
He's a goofy badass, yeah. and you're just like, yeah. And then again, it's not like it's a 26 episode anime, so it's not a one seasoner, but you know, it's enough that you're like, you get into it, but then when it cuts off, you're like, yo, what just happened? I want more.
Well,
And
because
then
also,
well-
all of the characters leave them. Faye
Yeah.
goes away. Ed goes away. Jet and Spike have a falling out at the end. So he's all by
He's all on his
himself.
Yeah.
And for all you know, Jet never finds out. You don't know what happens.
Damn, that's
And yeah,
way
it
worse
just
than I
ends with
thought.
him like in his own world essentially, and you don't know what happens. And I think on top of that, even besides the fact that Spike is cool, Vicious is a dick. Like he's not a redeemable bad guy.
Yeah, no, not at all. And he's
Right,
also
he's not the
only
one
in
where you just-
like 5 episodes of the entire show.
Yeah, and every time he's just an asshole. Like you don't see him and you're like, oh, he's the cool bad guy. Like, no, he's a fucking prick.
That somehow managed to get Julia.
Yeah.
Sometimes
What does
you
that
need a
say
villain.
about
Chick-
her and Spike's
Chicks
taste
dig
in
the
women?
bad boys.
But what does that say about Spike's taste in women if she was okay being with Vicious voluntarily?
Yeah, sometimes you just need a villain that's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
you know
yeah, I
that,
mean, for being like the overarching villain, he's only in like 5 episodes of the entire series.
I think, you know what, speaking that that actually is a weird point that you bring up, and I don't know if this was ever planned, but the very first episode has that girl with the guy who's a bounty. So now that's making me wonder, was that like meant to be like a whole tie-in of just, here's the girl who seems really nice just with this guy who's just a piece of shit, and then it just like it starts that way and it ends that way pretty much.
But also,
Maybe.
you don't know how much of a piece of shit he was because he was imbibing drugs constantly that was making him worse and worse as the episode went along.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't actually know what kind of person he was because almost every time you see him, he's injecting red eye and becoming a worse and worse person every time he does it.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Someday I'll watch Cowboy Bebop.
You should, considering it's getting its Netflix adaptation.
Oh, nice.
And they
Well, no, by then he might as well just wait, get that Keanu Reeves' Spike action going on,
Oh God.
John Cho is Spike, you mean?
Is that happening?
It's John Cho is Spike, yeah.
You know what? I want multiple Spike. Every episode with a different Spike. That's what I want. And them to never acknowledge the fact that it's a different actor.
That would be amazing. The only thing I hope and pray for is that we get an episode that is similar to Mushroom Samba, and I would be completely okay with whatever else they do as long as we get that.
Toys in the Attic episode. We talk about Bebop too much.
We do, but it's worthy.
Yeah.
So, what else you got that's sad, Rob?
So I was saying before this podcast, I was the one who suggested this topic, and I really came in with just about nothing. So Pete, talk about Metamorphosis for me.
Oh my God, Rob! Why? Why?
There's a laugh cackle of a madman.
Rob, no! I don't want to talk about it.
I think he planned this, Pete.
It's the
He had nothing on purpose
was
just
that
to
the-
make you have to talk about it.
Was that the bus? Because I'm pretty sure that was a train.
Wow.
Why are we here, Pete? Just to suffer? Yes, we
Oh
are.
my God. We already talked about this, though.
On the podcast?
I'm pretty sure we did. We mentioned it.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Oh, I
There's
just,
been
you know
two
what? I'm
screenshots
okay
of it.
with that. Just for
God,
this
like
moment.
the whole thing is like people don't like you may not know what it is, but if you see this one image, you know what it is.
I know the image, and because every time I see it on the internet, the comments are all just like depressed, and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Can you send it to me? Because I think I've seen it.
Oh my
Because
God.
It's
I've
just,
noticed a
it's
weird
just a picture of the
uptick.
character too. It's not even like anything else.
Is it some girl in glasses?
It's one of those things where if you know,
Yes.
you know, and if
Okay.
you don't know, then
Yes,
you
it's the
don't.
girl with glasses and pigtails in a school uniform.
Yeah, okay.
The
I've
one-
seen it.
Yeah, you know what it is. Like, so I had no idea what it is. All the fucking memes. It's like there was a point in time that it was all that we saw. Like Rob, you know that point in time.
Yeah.
Like there was like all over the place. I didn't know what it was, but everyone was really depressed about it. And I'm just like, well, fuck, what is it? It's like, it's it's one of those, doujins. For whoever doesn't know, it's manga for the cultured people,
Perverts.
and yeah, for perverts. And this story is a really depressing one about a girl who is not well liked. So she changes her image and becomes works real hard at it, becomes really pretty, and then essentially gets continuously bad things happen to her. Like she gets popular, ends up having sex, but the person who she has sex with drugs her, and then she becomes addicted to drugs, and then whatever you can imagine from there. But it's even worse than you can imagine because her father ends up raping her. She ends up getting raped a lot.
Oh, jeez.
Sounds like a great story.
It's so bad. I understand why people don't like it. I can understand because it's just really
Awful.
depressing. It's awful and sad, and the ending is even sad because the ending is just like she ends up, being pregnant and having a kid, and like it just like shows her like I guess a few years later her kid's probably like 5 or 6, and they're at the park and her mom's like, the kid's like says to mom, I don't even remember. I was like, I'm barely paying attention because it's at the end. I was just like, wow, this is a fucking ride. But essentially, she just says how it took her. She says to her daughter, it took mommy a long time to love herself, but now that she has her daughter, she feels like she can be more responsible, and she ends up being. It seems like she has a more happy ending, because she's like she seems more proper. She's taking care of her daughter. Who knows whose fucking kid it is?
That's
it was
awful.
just right. It was the worst.
It's not
That's
even, like,
why it.
It's not even like the fun kind of like miserable.
No, like it was just like that's the thing. Like
It's meant to be misery.
Yeah, but there's
Like,
there's nothing to it aside from
There-
that. Like,
no, that was
Well, this is the
I-
whole thing that I this is why I asked Pete about this in the first place. In the very, very first place, is because it's a hentai manga.
Well, I heard a conversation about this on the Trash Taste, where they said they at the beginning they treat it like a normal hentai doujin, and to suck you in with that first scene.
That sucks.
And it they get that suck, they like that first scene, and then directly after that, after the guy drugs her and she like that's when everything else after that is just the worst, like everything.
And that's kind of because again I've honestly never actually looked at this, and that's kind of like the one thing that I've been moderately curious on, of just like, is it like it like for a hentai, is it really hot? And
No.
and it has that weird like juxtaposition of you want to keep going because you're going at it, boy, but then in the in-betweens you're like, oh fuck.
There is no in between, Rob. It's just bad situation after bad situation. Like it's like emotionally destroying you too, because like when her
But that's
her
wait,
father.
how many,
Okay, hold
like,
on.
How many like sex scenes are though?
A lot.
So that's the point. Are you like are you even at that point? Are you even like
at that
watching
point?
it
No, you're
for-
not even there for it anymore. You're just there to hope that things get better for her.
That's
Because the whole
wild.
thing is like there's a whole thing like after her father rapes her, her mother blames her for it.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's fucked. Like it's like I don't want to believe that something like this can happen, but at the same time it very easily can. And it really pisses me off. Like it's shit like that. I hated it. I wish I didn't go looking into it because the internet, just has to tell everybody.
Internet
about
is full of
things.
peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yep, it certainly is.
yeah, it sounds. Just
And I'm here to
genuine.
tell you, don't go read it. I gave you a synopsis. That's all you need. Don't go.
Don't
And
go
fuck
chasing
you, Rob.
waterfalls.
Fuck you, Rob.
Okay. So, Freddie, what you got?
I don't know how I could follow that. Do you want?
Can I actually take one then? Like,
If you want to do,
like,
go
no.
ahead.
Yeah.
so I'll take the one.
Swear to
that,
God, Rob. I fucking swear to God.
So the sequel to Metal.
I will murder you.
Let's just go straight into to Monica talk. Doki Doki something or other.
Literature club.
Literature Club.
Yeah, Doki Doki Panic. The Super Mario Brothers 2. So again, back to what we were saying before. This podcast is gonna have a lot of spoilers, so straight up spoilers for this. Forward ahead.
Most
So we're
people
done
should
with-
know about it by now. Like, I know that they just came out with the Doki Doki Literature Club Plus edition.
See, the thing is, people who were interested in the time would know about it. Like,
Yeah.
because if you guys never made me play it, I'd be like, all right, what is this dumb visual novel?
yeah,
I'm not
like,
gonna be bothered
yeah.
with this.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If nobody played it then, they're not going to play it now. It's a free game. If you really were interested in it,
Yeah,
Go
but
play
again,
it.
it was.
It's
a
I
fun
mean,
game
I
for
might
PC.
play it,
Now
but
it's-
you've already
now it's
told me
on-
enough about it that I don't really need to.
Yeah.
So, and we're gonna tell you even more about it.
It's all good.
So sit down, strap in, and just get
Strap
comfortable. No, I was wondering who was gonna say it.
I
not
knew
surprised
exactly
that it
who was going to
Rob.
say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm only
I-
here for very few reasons, Pete. You know this. Anyway, so visual novel, dating sim, dealy, and it's weird because it starts out and they're just like, this game's a little fucked up, be warned. And you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, it's this super cute pastel visual novel, and it's like, no, seriously, it's gonna get bad.
Yeah, and you're just like, all right, whatever, loser. And you play it, and everybody's just, it's anime tropes. There's the handful of girls, and there's your next door neighbor, the girl who you've known since you were kids. There's the girl who looks like she's in second grade, but somehow she's in high school. The tall, quiet one. There's anime tropes.
And then the club leader.
And club leader. Yeah, and the whole time I'm just like, man, I hate the neighbor girl. She's the most annoying bitch in this anime.
So, real quick, because when I started playing it, I was like, man, Monica seems really cool, and I wanted to date her and go down her path, but the game stops you and is like, no, you have to pick one of the three. I'm like, fine.
Yeah. That was the same for me. There's visual proof because we recorded some of this.
I
just
recorded.
offhand.
I recorded the part because I wanted Rob's reaction.
I think didn't you record other parts too? But we definitely have.
We
the hook.
we did, but we recorded a couple other things, but I don't think I kept them. The only thing I kept was your reaction to the moment because it was so fucking funny.
Which we will talk about in a second. So, but yeah, same thing, Dale. I'm like, yo, give me the club leader. Like, she's awesome. And nope, they were just like, nope, you got to do one of the other girls. And I'm like, oh, fucking, I don't want to deal with them. They suck. And so, whatever. I'm going through, and it kind of just railroads you in a certain direction. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then at some point, you have an argument with your neighbor girl. And you go to school, and she's not at school. She normally walks with you. She didn't walk with you. She's not at school. She's not picking up her phone. And you're supposed to be like, all right, what's happening? So
she also
your
started
character,
acting a bit weird, like.
Yeah.
She was
Because
hiding
like literally,
something
you
and
guys
wouldn't
are
talk about
always together. So the fact that, you're now going 3 hours apart is just like, what the fuck's happening? At this point, I'm just like, I was kind of like tired of this game because we kind of like, we stretched it out longer than we should have by just dicking around with it the way we did. So I was kind of like, all right, I'm ready for this to be over. Like, fuck this. But you know what? I hope I'm like, you know what? I want her to be fucking dead. Like, I want to walk into her house and be fucking dead. And surely enough, you walk in there, and the big twist is that this girl hung herself in the middle of her room, and the screen's going nuts. It has like the crazy like bum 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 music, and you're like, ah. Meanwhile, me, big asshole over here, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, another one bites the dust, bitch.
Rob was so excited that she died that he was like, now it's my mission to make sure all the other girls die.
Yeah,
so
at
I can
this
beat
point, so now I'm
Monica.
thinking like, all right, you know what? Because I turned her away, so now I'm like, I can kill them all. I can literally just kill them all and make the game force me to get with Monica. And I'm like, this is it. This is my plan. Little do you know, like you find out very quickly then that that is the turning point of the game, because that's the end of the game essentially. Except you play it again without your neighbor girl. I don't even remember her. Is that Natsuki? No.
No, that was Sayori.
Sayori.
Natsuki was the midget, and
Yeah,
Yuri
fuck her,
was
too.
the tall hot one.
Yeah, tall one is the only acceptable of those three. But yeah, so then you go round 2 and you find out, hey, Monica, the club leader, she's sentient, and she knows she's in a game, and she knows that you, the player, are playing the game. So she's like, hey, fuck that neighbor bitch, right? I'm just gonna delete her from the game. So now you play the game again with her straight out deleted, and the game's glitching out, and she just kind of like railroads you into her path a little bit.
Yeah, Yuri
and
kills
it's kinda
herself,
like-
and then the other girl just straight up disappears.
Well, no, she's like, the whole thing is she messed with the code of the game to make Yuri kill herself, like, in front of you, and you have to sit there with her for 2 days.
Yeah, that was the most nuts part.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like, because the whole thing is she killed herself in front of you so, on a Friday, so you had to sit there until the weekend was over.
So you have to just hold the button down.
You had to you had to hold the skip button
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
until the next day was over.
Like,
And then when Natsuki comes in and sees that she's dead, throws up, leaves the room, and then Monika's like, all right, enough beating around the bush. She gets rid of Yuri's dead body and deletes Natsuki straight up, and she's like, I'm done playing this game. It's just gonna be you and me now.
Like, if you like Neighbor Girl, then you know what, that must have been like, if that was the girl who you were going for in this dating sim, if you played it like an actual dating sim,
Which a lot of people at the time were, because, you know, the classic, you know, childhood friend, everyone, especially a bunch of weebs, always
Yeah.
root for that. I wanted to go, like, the whole thing is, like, for me, specifically, I was like, alright, the game is railroading me into Sayori, so I said, I'm going to start off and do hers, and then I'm going to go do Yuri's. That's what I was going to do, because I wanted Yuri.
yeah, do the canon path. And
Oh,
then
see,
do the...
I've never been a fan of the neighbor girl thing. I just went straight for Yuri because I'm like, well, if I can't
'Cause he's a
be with
fan of
Monica, I'll go
Yeah,
with
Yuri is like-
because she
Yuri's
likes H.P. Lovecraft.
She's the best girl, in my opinion. Just straight up. Monica is a very close second. Very close second.
But yeah,
Monica's
so,
fun because she's such a weirdo.
yeah. so the rest of the game is essentially
You mean a psychotic killer?
just you
Yeah.
in a room with Monica sitting at a desk staring at each other,
in the void.
and she
'Cause
just
she
keeps
destroys
saying
the
random
world.
things.
Yeah. Like, she'll do it for hours. I think it's like 3 hours or so of actual things she'll just keep saying before they start
Or
to
the game
repeat.
is just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what was it? And,
Just turn
and
it off.
A lot of the quotes are super fucking weird. Like, I remember seeing one where back when the game came out and everyone was kind of obsessing over it. There's one where it was like, Monica was like, don't you ever wish you could just, like, you know, make someone a part of you and keep them inside you forever? And I saw someone comment like, Monica, that's called vor.
Yeah, it is. Well, no, that's not forever because at some point you poop them out.
Or well, it was some weird, like, I can't remember the exact, like, quote, but yeah, it's like a weird, like, beat of just like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Doki Doki Mario Brothers 2. It could be sad. It should be sad for someone who. probably
It
played
was not really sad. It was disturbing for me. When I
think
first
yeah,
played
that there because you know what, it tries to be disturbing, but I
mean,
guess
the
if,
whole-
I
once
guess
you
depending
realize
on
what's
how
happening,
how
it's-
you hit it, like, right?
Yeah, it like once you realize what's happening, it's not the same anymore. But a first time through, it really sucker punches
Yeah,
you.
that first, like, you know, the first couple of minutes where it's just like, boom, like that's there's emotions there, depending on what motions, you know, but there's emotions.
So who's next?
Goldberg.
Freddy.
Who wants to bare their soul?
Well, I could talk about, and I'm a big wrestling fan, so, I mean, Eddie Guerrero, when that, like, tribute show happened, maybe Rob knows what I'm talking about.
So the thing is, I don't know if you know this, Fred.
What's up?
I actually did not watch, like, any wrestling between
I think, yeah.
2001 or 2002 to like 2006. So there's like a good 5-ish years that I missed. So I missed Eddie Guerrero. Like,
Okay.
I missed, you know, He Who Must Not Be Named. I missed the you know, coming up of Orton, Batista, and Cena. Like, all that. So when people go back and they're like, oh, Eddie was so great. And, like, in my head, I remember WCW Eddie, and I remember him with the freaking lowrider picking up China. Like, I never
Latino Heat.
Yeah, I never really watched him, like, you know, all those WCW guys really become, like,
Yeah.
main event, like, top tier guys.
No, it was.
I mean,
it was crazy.
That said, like, all,
emotional.
just all, like, a lot of those stories behind those behind the radicals, as they were
The
called.
Radicals, yes.
'Cause,
Eddie Guerrero's
Eddie's
tribute
whole
show
thing.
was very hard to watch, I remember. Because it was just like, no, this isn't a storyline. This is real life. And, like, he was this great guy, great wrestler. And it's just like, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm never going to see this guy wrestle again. I'm never going to see, like, hear him, like, joke around on the mic or whatever. I'm like, it's so depressing. And seeing, like, all the wrestlers who, like, have these big, tough personas, and they're all just, like, crying. It's just like, it hits you.
Mm-hmm. And like for so keeping on that topic, so I did mention I did come back after a certain point.
Yes.
So again, I missed the real main event level, but that for me that was Chris Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like caught his tail end. I think he was in like fake ECW at this point. Maybe?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because his last match was supposed to be against CM Punk.
Yeah. And
For
so
the
I was
title.
still like, oh man, Benoit is still wrestling. Benoit was awesome. And then so you have the tribute show where like stuff is kind of like stuff is not exactly known, but everything's kind of weird.
Because it was like
But
the
there's
day
still
of, it was like the day after or something.
Yeah, it was only
Which
a couple
is
of
funny too,
hours
because the
after.
storyline going on at that time was who killed Vince McMahon in the fire explosion limo.
So literally, I think it was either so it was like Raw. This was like when Raw was the only thing that mattered, basically. And I remember the week before, Vince gets into a limo. The limo blows up, and so for like the whole week, and there was like an actual media thing of like, wait, is Vince McMahon actually dead? Did they just air his like a bombing of his limo legitimately? Apparently, like there's word. I don't know if this is true or not. There was because him and Donald Trump are friends.
Yeah.
There was a word that Trump actually tried calling him to find out that if he's like actually dead or
You know
not.
what? I'll believe that.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I heard that
right?
too.
But then and so then the week after comes up, and it's like supposed to be the whole big like reveal of
Like,
what
whodunit.
happened then, and the whodunit is Vince back, like what's happening. And it literally starts with Vince on screen being like, yeah, I'm not dead. That was a whole storyline, but, some people do die. And one of our, longest tenured wrestlers was found dead, him and his whole family. And you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, and it just sounded weird. But at the same time, again, this was like so soon that like, you're like, it's weird, but oh wow. It's kind of shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And they run this whole tribute show about like how great he was, like highlighting some of his best matches and everything.
And then, yay, he's a murderer.
And then at some point, it just
Yay.
like I think even that day they started suspecting like he like it, well, it wasn't even suspecting because once they found everything,
Yeah.
but it was like
Yeah.
once it got leaked out that it was just like there's a very good chance that he murdered himself and killed his family, and then it's just like oh no.
Yeah. That one
And-
was
And,
very
and now
different.
he's been and now he's been basically wiped off of all
the history
wrestling
of
media.
Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't want to take ownership of the guy who you brain damaged to the point that he killed his whole family.
Yeah.
I think he's
He's-
actually listed in.
I mean, that's but he's also like you can't just blame WWF because he was in WCW, he was in Japan, he
New
was
Japan,
in ECW.
ECW.
He,
And he was on like different
he-
medications that were fucking with him too.
Oh, he was also
yeah,
on,
so he
was
had like
also
a
on steroids.
very crazy
yeah, no,
history.
Was he on, I don't think he was on steroids. at that
No,
point.
because he's in medical textbooks. His case is actually listed as a side effect of steroids, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So he was on steroids, but a lot of so that was the thing because that was like the first thing when it happened. It was the whole big, roid rage thing. Eventually, like once they actually did like the
Autopsy.
analysis of all of him and everything, it kind of became like, all right, this isn't roid rage because roid rage is a lot less common than people think it is.
Yeah.
And it's more along the lines of, it was the CTE, the concussion disorder, where his signature move was literally doing a headbutt off the top rope. Like,
Yeah, they said his brain was so severely damaged it resembled the brain of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
I mean, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
He took like chair shots head on and stuff.
yeah. because he was just like, his whole thing was just like, I'm gonna be a tough old school guy, so he would just like do crazy shit.
I mean,
so.
but that was before they banned like the
that was
headshots.
yeah.
Now it's you have to hit him in the gut, then hit him in the back.
Yeah, and even headshots, you know, they still block it, whereas before they would just eat shots to the
Take
face.
it, yeah.
And so yeah, that was the era he came in, and he just went significantly way too far with it in wrestling.
He went harder than a lot of people.
It cost a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's almost like your brain is important.
Nah, brain's overrated.
Nah, fair enough. So
Brain needs to poop. And I mean, and again, I mentioned like the whole radicals. I don't know how much you know about Saturn.
Saturn, didn't he have like a stroke?
I think he was like, I think somebody tried to like rob him or something.
No,
like
he
that,
was.
and
Someone was trying to rob some woman, and he like stepped in, and like someone stabbed him or something.
Yeah, so like he was a guy who he was in WCW. He was awesome, you know. WWF.
He had a mop.
He had the mop, which, you know what? Say what you will, the Moppy era was hilarious. Between Moppy and then, you know, Al Snow's Pepper, that whole like little
God.
era, and Big Boss Man
There's a
just
tragedy
being,
in itself. Pepper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. We could talk about that. But that was like, and then you find out like eventually like, hey, this guy disappeared. What happened to this guy? Where, you know, all these wrestlers are coming back, and then you just find out like his life has been in shambles basically since leaving. Like he tries to lead a good life, but shit just keeps piling onto him. And you know, I mean, and that's the thing with wrestling. I think more than now.
Forever.
Where yeah where, you know, just 10 15 years ago you look back and just guys who disappear from wrestling, it's just like, all right, are they dead or dying?
Yeah.
And now, you know, everything's just a lot safer. There's a lot, you know, they bring them back just to show up on Raw for 5 minutes, and they're getting paid. So
It's because they
you
don't
know,
give
a lot
them
of these guys are
health
living better
insurance.
lives.
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
The politics podcast.
We'll leave that one to the episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver that covered
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
But yeah, the
moving
story
on
of a
from
lot of
wrestling.
wrestlers.
so I got a couple I can probably bang out pretty quickly.
Okay.
Or relatively quickly. Indie game similar to a bit similar to Omori in the kind of like sketchy art style. This War of Mine. I don't know if any of you have heard of that.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
Fantastic little indie game. It takes place in a kind of like Eastern European country that is currently in the middle of a civil war, and essentially you didn't play as anyone in particular. You basically manage a house of survivors. So like you'll start off with like 2 to 4 people who are just trying to get through this civil war, and essentially you kind of have to manage their food and water, their morality, or not morality, mentality.
Oh, mentality.
Yeah, morale. Yeah, that's the word. And also you have to like go out and scavenge. So it's this like black and white grayscale like sketchy art style where you're playing as these people who are just trying to get by in this like super oppressive war. And so it'll be like, okay, who's on guard duty tonight? Who's sleeping at night? And like who's gonna go out and scavenge? And you have a lot of hard choices to like, well, are you gonna rob people? Are you gonna go to like this super dangerous junction where like a sniper is posted? It's a rough game.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's punishingly hard. Like if someone takes a bullet, they're gonna take like 2 days of rest to recover. And yeah, there's also
Man, just walk it off. God.
yeah, and also like there's like, because also medicine is a huge commodity. Like essentially like towards the end game, like you're kind of self-sufficient where you have like rain catchers, you have traps for catching like rodents, you have like compost heaps to make your own fertilizer. And it's just like, if you can get to the end game and you're lucky and you manage things right, you're essentially self-sufficient and don't have to scavenge anymore. But getting to that point is incredibly fucking rough.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a great game. And the other one I have is Danganronpa, which is a game all about despair and killing people and solving the... Well, you don't get to kill anyone. Essentially, a bunch of teenagers are placed in a killing game where it's like, hey, if you can kill 1 or 2 of your classmates and get away with it, you get to leave. If you don't, you get punished. And by punished, that means a extremely over-the-top method of execution.
Oh my god.
Fun.
Yeah, it's a really good, well.
The games I
game.
always wanted to play, just never got around to.
They're all on Steam, I believe.
Ooh, I'll have to check
They
it out.
might have got taken off actually.
And there we go.
You got his hopes up for nothing.
Aren't they doing like a remaster or something?
Oh no, they're all still on Steam. They were taken off of PSN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're gonna do the remaster soon, I believe.
Yeah,
Makes
I highly
sense.
recommend
Why?
them.
I
They're
don't know, but
yeah, who knows? They're really great games. They're also, I love that once you beat it, you get to have like a fun kind of like essentially dating sim like side story thing, because it's like because you can get to know some of these characters, but there's no guarantee which of them are going to survive the story.
Yeah.
Like the first, because spoilers, the first game you meet this girl who like is essentially the childhood friend stereotype, and then she frames you for murder. Actually, no. She gets murdered, and then in the course of trying to defend yourself because she was found dead in your dorm room, it turns out that she was actually trying to kill someone else and frame you for it.
Oh.
And
It's even worse than I thought.
yeah, it's dude, it's a colorful cast of characters because each person admitted, because it takes place in this like prestigious like private school who only allow the best of the best. So like, for instance, and it can be anything. It could be you're the greatest otaku, you're the greatest fanfic writer, you're the greatest bike gang leader, or like the greatest baseball player of like your age bracket. And yeah, like in the first game, you're just the lucky student who won the lotto and got to attend this school. So she tries to kill you because you're useless. Like, you have nothing going for you.
I mean,
yeah.
there could be worse reasons.
Oh yeah, it's such a fucked up game. It's so wonderful. Because it's literally just a bunch of high school students, like, coming up with elaborate murder sequences to try and free themselves. Like, there's one where, like, I think it's, like, the ultimate magician is like, I'm going to fall into this piranha tank and then escape. And then when the curtain pulls away to reveal her escape, there's just someone else in the tank. And they get fucking murdered by piranhas. And it's everyone being like,
They used my plan.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, well, how the fuck did any of this happen? Was it the magician? Did she do it? But yeah, it's a great game. It's also got the greatest mascot ever, which is Monokuma.
Oh, yes, yes.
But yeah, that's those two games.
So, while trying to think of sad stuff, I brought up a repressed memory of an episode of The Peanuts that I figured I would bring up if Rob was actually here, since I know he loves the Peanuts, Snoopy specifically.
These nuts.
Yeah. Do you remember the episode where Charlie Brown made friends with somebody who had cancer?
No?
Yeah, I remember that. Pepperidge Farm remembers
I knew
that.
it. Like, as soon as you said, I remember that, I'm like, someone.
It was literally an episode where Charlie Brown and Linus made friends with this girl, and she was like really weak and always sick, and then they found out she had leukemia and was losing her hair because of it. So she started getting bullied in school because she has no hair. And I'm like, I like I do.
This was like the animated.
Yeah,
Peanuts?
yeah.
No, that's around the Sunday
Episode
strips.
number or as proof or no dice.
I didn't hear anything you just said.
Episode number or as proof or no dice.
Yeah.
Well, it's
we need the timestamps.
The episode's name is called Janice's Diagnosis.
Well then.
I'm looking this up right now. Because I'm like... Snoopy? The Peanuts? I'm getting something completely different. Oh, yeah, well, remember that... What the...
We're just gonna give it some time. Everybody,
Why
how you
Charlie
got,
Brown? Why?
Well,
Wow.
While Rob's looking this up, Sibs, what you got?
All right, I've got two. One of them is a movie called The Final Girls. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Wait, is that the one that it's based on the whole Final Girl thing from horror?
Yes.
It's the final girl.
Oh right, it wasn't called Janice's Diagnosis. It was called Why Charlie Brown Why.
Oh, that might help him find it.
Yeah, no, I'm on it right now. I'm on the Peanuts wiki right now.
Okay, so The Final Girls. Now, the movie itself is not particularly sad, but it makes me sad. Because the whole movie starts with the main character in a car with her mother. They get in a car accident and the mother dies. And what you find out is that the mother was an actress who was in this really cheesy slasher film that has this crazy cult following that does like midnight screening type stuff. And she gets invited to some anniversary screening of the movie, and she really doesn't want to go because seeing her mom on screen makes her sad. But she gets roped into it, and something happens, and her friends end up in the movie. So it's basically your fun little isekai type thing.
Well, yeah.
Monster Rancher?
Shut up, Rob.
So they end up in the slasher film that her mom starred in. But the people in the movie are their characters, not the real people. So she's trying to interact with her mom to save her mom in the movie, but getting reactions from her mom that aren't her mother. So it makes her very sad to interact with her mom who's not her mom.
You know, she's probably like increased in stupidity because
She's extra dumb blonde whose goal, because the slasher flick takes place at a summer camp, and like the mom plays a camp counselor, and it's a very like 1980s slasher film. So they're camp counselors, and the mom's stated goal in the movie is to lose her virginity that summer. So they're trying to circumvent the plot of the slasher film, but she's also trying to spend time with her mom, who's not her mom.
Yeah, that sounds depressing.
And her mom sacrifices herself to save her. So it's like she watches her mom die all over again, but she had meaningful interaction with her mom who didn't know that they were related. So it was a really weird thing. But it came out not terribly long after my mom had died. So watching a movie where the mom died, I mean, that happens in everything Disney, but
because
it was more the having that interaction with the person that's no longer there, and like almost wanting that, but not being able to have it,
Yeah.
So
it's like being dangled in front of you, but there's a glass in front of you that's.
But like, you really wouldn't want it anyway, because I mean, you're living in a slasher film, so.
Yeah.
Context
how
matters.
well do you think you would do in a slasher film?
I think I'd do okay. But so the other one is a movie called Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, this does sound familiar.
So the main plot is that there's these two guys that are in high school that are best friends, and this girl that one of the guys was friends with in elementary school, diagnosed with leukemia. and his parents kind of almost force him to try to be her friend again. So it's a whole awkward teenage friendship, but the boy and his best friend, their hobby is making like home movie type things, like making their own films. So they're kind of trying to make something almost for her at the end. And like they go through and like completely saying that she's going to make it all the way through to the end and that she's not going to die, and then she ends up dying. But it's so like them trying to make her last months meaningful. And he had not wanted to apply to a college, but she was encouraging him to do it and trying to help him write his essays and stuff to get into school. And he wrote out, as part of one of his college application essay type things, he wrote out the story of their time together while she was sick and how it impacted him. And he includes the movie that he made and sends it to the college with a note tied to it that says, the last person who saw this immediately went into a coma and died.
Oh my jeez.
So, very quirky teenagers, very obviously serious plot, but it's a fun movie up until the point where she ends up dying.
Yeah.
So since we're almost like running out of time,
running out of time,
I wanted to streamline a couple of things that make me cry every time I see it.
Like if you cry every time.
Cry every time.
So it recently came up last week. I watched this because it came up in my feed. Was Rugrats with Chucky's mom when he finds out about her.
Oh God.
That makes me want to cry all day. It makes me cry. I have to make sure that if I do watch that, I can't have anything planned for the rest of the day. There's also Coco.
Yes.
The Pixar movie, like the ending scene with the grandma when he sings with her. Like I just can't bust out of that sadness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happy, but I just get sad because it reminds me too much of my grandma.
If it makes you feel better, Pete, I can't watch the scene in Guardians of the Galaxy where Quill's mom dies.
I don't blame you.
Because that came out like the same year my mom died.
Yeah.
Yeah. That part of that movie perpetually ruined.
I feel terrible because my uncle, who was also dying of cancer, wanted me and Dad to take him to go see Deadpool, and I had already seen it, so I didn't want him to see it because
of course,
what happens in that movie. And the one other thing is that one episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when his dad leaves.
Oh.
Like, I just...
Yeah.
I wanted to get...
that hit suddenly, that one.
It was like everything got quiet and serious and emotional. And you felt that room. You felt like you were in that room.
So I guess for just to bring it up in case you really didn't say what
I heard a dog that wasn't my dog.
That one was probably Rob's.
Yeah.
If it's not you, it's his.
Yeah, but with Fresh Prince, so it's like a regular episode until this point, except his dad shows up and they're meeting and he hasn't seen his dad in a while and everything, and it's good times, and he's just like, yeah, my dad, we're gonna do dad and son stuff, yeah, just like, we got a lot of time we need to make up, and you're like, oh, this is nice, and then Uncle Phil's just like, yeah, you better stick with him this time, and Dad's just like, yeah, I will. And at the end, Will's just all excited. I'm gonna do a cross country,
He's going on that trip
with
with his dad. Yep,
my dad. And then he gets what was it? He got a call that his dad already left.
No. He was about to leave, and his mom and his uncle were like, "If you fucking leave right now, you better never come back." And so he tries to get the uncle to do his dirty work for him. And he's like, "Can you let him know that I won't be able to make it. And he's like, I'm not doing your dirty work. And as he's about to leave is when he comes out and he's like, hey, Dad, you ready to go? And he's like, something came up, but,
Yeah, it was like a big money, like, trip or something like that he had to, like, cargo hole or something.
Something like that.
And he's just like, yeah, next time.
And he's like, we'll have to reschedule, like, maybe a month or 2 or 3. I'll call you in a week and we'll iron those details out. And he's like, it's cool. And then he's like, all right, see you, son. And and what really, where it really starts is when he says goodbye. He doesn't call him Dad. He calls him by his name.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the dad and you could see the dad feels it for like a second, but he just leaves.
And then he just leaves. He stops for a second and then he just leaves.
Yeah, and then it's just like, oh, the why don't he want me, man? Oh, that one.
No, that's
when it hits.
Cause his uncle's like, I'm sorry, like that, and he's like, no, it's cool. He's like now I don't have to worry about him anymore. He's like saying how he's gonna find a beautiful wife and have kids, and he doesn't need him in his life to teach him how to be a father. And he's like, but then he like out of nowhere blows up, and he's like, to hell with him. And he's like, and then he just goes. He's like, I don't need him. And then he just stops, and it's quiet. And then he just says in like the most teary voice, why doesn't he want me, man? And I can't.
I'm getting sad just thinking about it.
Yeah, I can't. I can't. Like, because that was like, as soon as he says that, his uncle like runs over to hug him, and that's that's how it ends. That's how the episode ends.
Yeah, and it's literally just like that last minute. Because before that, it's just kind of like, oh, okay,
a more regular episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the dad's coming back. It's gonna be great, and then that last minute hits, and you're like, oh, fuck. And you know what? Let's dispel a rumor right now.
Oh, I know exactly what one you're talking about.
Because a lot of times when people that comes up, people be like, oh, it really hit Will like on a personal level because like his dad like actually left him and blah blah blah.
Not true.
Not true. He had a good relationship with his dad.
Yeah,
he has publicly come out and said he doesn't know where that started, but that is completely false.
I love that tweet where he's just like, no, me and my dad had a really great relationship. Why does everyone keep saying this?
Yeah.
Because, once someone says something, it's obviously true on the internet.
Once you say something on the internet, it's real.
Yeah, once you take a screenshot of a show and put over text over it saying something, it's true.
I think he did say his friend went through this, though, right?
Possibly.
Isn't that what he said?
I mean, that would
probably
make sense.
where they got the
maybe.
inspiration
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, because I think he said that his friend was the one who was going through this, not him. But didn't his dad also die around that time? I don't remember.
I think after. I think it was
after?
a while after.
Okay, because I can't remember.
That one I'm not
but-
completely sure of, but
No, yeah, I have no idea. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure he died around that time. I'm not sure if it was before or after. Either way, it doesn't matter. It was very well executed and made me feel all the feels.
yeah, that one was.
You want to feel all the feels, huh, Pete? Did you finish watching Fruits Basket yet?
No, I haven't. Stop.
All the feels.
I know.
The feels.
All I do when I watch that show is cry.
As you should be.
Like, to be fair, it's still not as bad as Clannad. Like,
I've never bring that up.
Yeah, I know. I knew I had to before somebody else did, because there is to this day there is not a single show or movie or anything that comes close to when I watched that series. I bought the entire box set of season 1 and 2, which is the entire thing, and I'm probably never gonna rewatch it. I just bought it so I know. So I look at it and I know if I open that thing up, I'm gonna be on the floor, curled up in the fetal position for the next week and a half.
See, but
just like when I watched that.
See,
Cry.
but
Cry
here's
hard.
the thing.
Cry a lot.
But Fruits Basket, you get happy tears at the end.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I do.
It's very happy tears.
I'm
Because
sure.
everything works out.
I know. I read the end.
When did you do
Fine.
that? Because when we talked about the remake, you didn't know about the plot twist.
Well, that's because
Akito.
I don't. It was a long time ago. I don't fucking remember everything.
There's only one
Long.
plot twist.
Time ago. It's fine. Don't worry. I'm just gonna watch it, even though I know how it ends. I'm just gonna watch it, and everything in between
Because they're
will be like
making a
new.
sequel.
What is this?
They're making another series.
They're-
Making a
what?
sequel.
You didn't know this?
No.
They announced it like right after this one ended.
More fruit, more basket.
Man.
I
you know
mean,
what
there
probably-
is a sequel manga. They didn't say that they're adapting that, but
But they're making a sequel.
they're making a sequel. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't know how I feel.
And I
but
think it's supposed to
okay.
be out like next year. I think they like really jumped on it too.
Well, listen, I just finished watching a really classic anime last night.
And
you
what
guys
would
may have
that
heard-
be?
You guys may have heard of it. It's called Daria. I finished watching it for the first time. It was a great,
Yay!
It's 5 seasons and 2 movies long. I plowed through that series. Classic. Never watched it because I didn't really know about it growing up. But
Who
you know.
told you about that show, Pete? Anybody we know?
nah, I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
It could be anyone, It could.
Yeah,
It might. It
It
might
was a
have
real
been,
big risk that you started
Yeah.
watching that show, but I think it paid
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if it was, yeah, straight up, if it wasn't for the fact that I was at Freddy's house and I was like, let's try that Daria you going on about, I probably wouldn't have ever watched it because it was so freaking good. But we're not here to talk about good stuff. We're talking about sad stuff.
we've
and
talked
I'm
about
pretty
plenty
sure.
Sad stuff is
And I-
good. I mean, Freddie
yeah.
Freddie opened it up with one that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
important.
gonna
It's
hit
important
one
to be
real
sad
quick.
sometimes.
All right, so this will be the last one, Rob.
Yeah, and I think Freddie, you might be able to chime in on this
All
one.
right.
Digimon Season 1.
Okay.
Because Digimon, well, I guess Pokemon also had a couple of emotional episodes,
Yeah.
more towards
And
the
the
beginning.
movie
And the
had
movie,
that
yeah.
emotion ending.
The
too.
movie
Yeah, oh,
more,
yeah, the movie.
The movie
We could-
more.
yeah, we
The
could
series had more creepy stuff in it.
Well, the
that,
movie-
that,
the
that is
show- the
more
show
in
had a couple-
retrospect creepy.
Bye.
But yeah, the movie was
Butterfree.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bye Bye
that's
Butterfree was
the
sad.
Butterfree one.
The
definitely.
episode when he thought Pikachu was gonna leave him, that was sad.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, yeah.
But Digimon, basically Matt's whole character arc, really, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I never actually.
Where, his whole thing is just, he's the big, stronger, older brother and everything, and he just what's his thing? It's the friendship. Is his friendship?
Yeah. Friendship.
Crest of friendship, and yet somehow he's the loner. He's the loner of his group. So, and throughout the series, he literally just goes off and tries to do things by himself a bunch of times. And, whether it's just, because he thinks he's the best or trying to get one over on Tai, Tai's like, no, you're not the leader I am, or to protect his brother TK or anything. And I remember one of the very end when they're fighting the Dark Masters was the whole thing where he has to come to grips with their parents divorce and everything.
Yeah.
And it was very much a whole thing of he has to kind of realize hey, this isn't just all about me. Everything didn't happen because of me. And it's more all right, and again being the power of friendship has to pull them through.
Yeah.
That shit was much more real than it needed to
Well,
be.
It is,
Yeah,
and that's why again, obvious the comparison is always going to be Digimon to Pokemon. Digimon's, you can go back to it.
It's its own thing.
Yeah,
it's,
but
It
besides the
actually
fact that it's its
has
own thing, but you can
story.
actually go back and watch Season 1, Season 2, whatever, and they still have value, right? They're their own standalone things. Even though we're older, you can still watch it and be like, yeah, there's, this isn't just a dumb kid show. There's stuff here.
Yeah.
I remember
Right?
my
Whereas if you go back to Pokemon, aside from a couple of random episodes, the Butterfree one, or some where it's just obviously better than the
One-off
others.
sadness.
Rock
There's a-
family.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
There's just a lot of episodes in Pokemon. Like, a majority of the episodes are just, cut and paste, Ash is
Rocket.
just, Ash is doing a thing, Team Rocket shows up, shenanigans,
So,
it's over.
I don't ever
Whereas
remember this episode.
Digimon has actual story beats with,
Wizardmon.
with emotion behind them. What are you going to say, Dale?
Oh, I don't ever remember seeing this episode, but there's apparently one where you do finally meet Brock's parents.
You meet his father
His
early
dad, yeah.
on.
Okay,
Yeah,
No,
and
I
his
think it
father
was
abandoned
either
him.
his father or both parents, where it was like, oh, when did you get so good at cooking? And he's like, when I had to take care of
Yeah,
all
it's
of my
his
siblings.
Yeah,
it's
that's-
his father.
his
His
father.
father's
Okay.
living like in a ditch just outside the city that he's in, that he's the gym
Wow.
leader in Pewter City. And Brock's got like a million siblings. He's doing everything in the house because all of his siblings are much younger than him. And Ash happens to meet the father. The father brings him to the gym, I think, and actually coaches Ash on how to beat Brock. And at the
remember this,
and then Brock sees him and confronts him, and the father asks him the whole thing, how did you learn how to cook? And it's like, because I'm literally doing everything. And he's sewing fixing holes in clothes and doing literally
Changing diapers
everything.
Yeah.
And the father, because that was when Brock was going to start traveling with him, and he couldn't because of all the siblings that he had to stay and take care of. And the father decided to stick around and take care of the siblings while Brock got to go on his merry little way. And it then becomes Brock teaching his father how to do all of this stuff, and his father appears to be completely inept.
Right.
So who knows if any of his siblings survived?
Yeah. But
I'm pretty sure
They all got washed
Child
away in the
Protective
flood.
Services came for them. It's fine.
to
Probably.
what Rob said about Digimon versus Pokemon, one of my favorite things that I've heard someone say about the two is that, yeah, Pokemon is this happy-go-lucky adventure, whereas Digimon is a show about kids having existential crises in fields full of flowers and eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's about time we have.
Yeah, I think we went a little over
little
time, but
over.
that's fine.
Totally
we have more people today.
Yeah.
I think
There's
I
no
think we
time
might have
when it
to
comes to
sequel it because
sadness.
Freddie literally didn't even mention the thing that he mentioned in his opening statement.
No, I didn't. And there's another one from that show too that I was gonna bring up.
I
It's probably
barely
even more sadder than at least in my opinion.
I barely touched mine as well. I
We
think I
never
only
even got to talk about Scott Pilgrim. So sad.
All right,
Thank you.
well,
But yes, Hughes needs a conversation, Freddie.
Yes,
Hughes
it
needs a
does.
conversation.
it does. I was gonna bring it up, but save for the sequel.
Yes.
That'll be a big long sadness talk about that one.
Sadness Redux.
Yes, Sadness 2, Despair Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo, yes.
All right,
My
everyone.
ultimate despair.
Sayonara, is that supposed to say? Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, follow us on Twitter. No, we're on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube. We've been playing Resident Evil 8, right? That's what we've been playing.
Yep,
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
went up recently, the
Yeah, we've
fifth
been-
episode.
In the 5th episode, as the time of this recording has gone up. And
Freddie, can we get a VK page?
I'm not sure what that is.
That's a Russian Facebook.
Oh, sure, let's get a Russian Facebook.
All
They'll
right.
steal
You have to set
everything
it up,
from you.
though.
I mean, sure. As long as we got permission now. Follow us on VK. My lovely comrades.
All right, I've been Freddie.
I'm pretty sure I'm Pete.
I've been Monica.
I've been Dale.
I've been Sibs.
And thanks for listening, everyone.
Stay sad, everyone.
Stay Monica, everyone.
Who put all these tears on my face? What are all these emotions that I feel? Why am I in despair? And why should you not read Metamorphosis? That will not be next time on the podcast.